Hey everybody, it's Bust, and today we're playing All Commons Twist and doing battle with Burn Shaman. And so, as we say in this Twist format, I think there's three cards that you're looking to build around. You're either building around Dragons, you're building around Bone Mare and Fungal Mancer, or you're going to be building around Street Trickster. In the deck today, we're going to be using Street Trickster, and he has a lot of very interesting combos within Shaman. One of the big deals with Street Trickster is you really need cheaper spells to take advantage of the spell damage, right? If you're going to put down a Street Trickster and cast 2 fireballs, that costs 11 mana, and you can't do it until super late in the game. You're not really getting full advantage out of the spell damage because you're only casting 2 spells. And so more ideally, you're going to be able to chain off a bunch of cheaper spells. So say it's turn 7, we play the Street Trickster, then we might find ourselves able to cast a Lightning Bolt, cast a Totemic Smash, and cast a Crackle, all within the same turn, and get that bonus 6 damage instead of just 2 off of a 2-spell burst. And so to me, that is the kind of a reason that you're looking to play Street Trickster within Shaman, is it does have 3 very good cheaply costed burn spells. There's even a few more that we're not playing. I don't think that they fully fit in the theme of the deck, but you can look to play cards like Zap, which is a sort of backstab type spell, and things like Beakered Lightning, which is another AoE. So there are lots of choices within Shaman in terms of actually taking advantage of this spell damage ability, but I'm trying to keep it cheap. I'm trying to keep it small. I'm trying to keep it with spells that can go directly to the face, and so we're playing the Lightning Bolt, the Crackle, and the Totemic Smash. The other neato thing about playing Street Tricksters with Shamans is you very easily get upgraded Spirit Claws. In a lot of these Street Trickster matchups, you'll find yourself in the space to where it's like turn 5. You really want to put the Trickster on the board since it's what really helps you develop and flow with your mana, but it can be tough to take advantage of it immediately. The Spirit Claws kicking up to 3 attack gives us a very reasonable curve of the Claws on 1, a Totem on 2, and then the Trickster on 3, and then just start chunking down the opposing units with the Spirit Claws. One of the major reasons to find ourselves over into the space of the spell damage units. So to me, as far as the rest of the Shaman cards go, I have seen a lot of the totem-based decks running around, but to me, those are just super all-in. If you're willing to play a deck and just say, like, okay, I auto-lose to Consecrate or I auto-lose to Warpath, that's fine, but I'm looking to be a little bit more aggressively oriented and a little bit further away from the combo elements that we would get out of a Wicked Witch Doctor deck. And so we do have a fairly aggressive curve out here today with both the Tunnel Trogg and the Surging Tempest in the 1-drop space being boosted up by the Totem Golem as our big early game kind of package that we're going to use to come in and try to chunk the opponent down. We do kind of count on a lot of the totems actually coming out and doing work, so we have the Flametongue Totem out here to take advantage of those totems that typically just don't do anything since we're not playing Totemic Surge. And then we do have one of my all-time favorite cards in here, the Argent Horserider. I do absolutely love this charge unit in the face of Flametongue Totem, letting us get some of these attacks with units on board, and then you sneak in the Argent Horserider next to the totem and get multiple activations out of that bonus attack throughout the course of the turn. Last but not least, we do have a few value options in here. The Menacing Nimbus is out here to generate a spell. There is the Sandstorm Elemental to count as kind of AoE damage. The elementals within Shaman are kind of lacking. It's a bit unfortunate. It feels like we're really one good elemental activator away from having a big time elementals deck, but out here in the space of Pauper, you don't quite get that. Nonetheless, these are still very combat effective units with the Nimbus, the Sandstorm Elemental, and then the Surging Tempest being the elemental that's here just for attacky stuff. And so that's it. That is the deck we're doing battle with today. But before the battles begin, you know what we're going to do. We're going to come out here and turn something premium. And I feel like we'll get these Street Tricksters all turned premium by the time we're done with this twist format. But let's go ahead and get it started. Get that Trickster upgraded right out the gates. Jump on into battle. Where are we at here? Hearthstone thing. Shaman Burn. Try and get some 4-mana 7/7s in here. That's what it's really needing. I was considering the 4-mana 7/7 since there's not a lot of good ways to really just deal with a big unit, right? As we talk about the strengths of cards like Street Trickster and being able to come down on board and just be very tough to remove. The same thing applies to the Flame Wreath Faithless, but I think he's a little bit too challenging in terms of a little bit too challenging in terms of actually dealing damage where it needs to go. I feel like a lot of games he's just running into a bad taunt unit and running into a bad taunt unit and then just being done, and it just doesn't really do it for me. All right, pretty strong start from opponent with the Undertaker. I'm just going to go ahead and take the no value Totem Smash to get this thing off of the board. It sucks to not get the overkill and not get the value, but at the end of the day, if we get to take the opponent's scaling unit off of the board and just say, okay, I traded 1 card and 1 mana for 1 card and 1 mana, it doesn't feel that bad. It's okay to not get maximum value every single time at every single opportunity. And if that Undertaker got to start scaling, we were going to have a bit of trouble actually taking it down. And so it feels like a pretty reasonable kill to me. All right, now we're going to have to deal with the grandmother. We can, if we want, we could just play the Horserider and then get a coin type play to try and get in front of this. I don't think I'm on board with that. I think I'd like to just start developing totems. And so we can add the Spirit Claws, take down the Mecharoo, and then have a little bit more board presence to try and deal with the grandmother and the follow-up unit. See if a spell damage bro turns up along the way, you know? All right, opponent is down to 1 card. The downside to what we're out here doing today is we don't have taunt units, right? I'm not playing the thing that summons the 3 big elemental taunts, and so we do have to worry about what this guy is able to come out here and do to us. But I think is this an okay turn to just leave him with a 3/2? Like if we play the Flametongue Totem with a coin, take down the bat, and then charge into the grandmother. He's got the weapon and he's got the 3/2 behind. I don't like it as much, I guess. Not as much as I want to like it. I really wish we had 1 more mana to go with it. So I'm looking to just Totemic Smash next turn. I don't really want to do it this round. Alright, let's see where that lands us. Just go ahead and get the Tunnel Trogg on board. Like, opponent only has 1 card at this point, and if we can get him to start giving up value just to try and get our dudes off the board, I think that's okay. So that quick shot going to the unit instead of going to face, I think that's where we want to be. I know it doesn't feel like a particularly awesome trade, but I think it'll get the job done. Now we do pick up the Zapper to activate the Spirit Claws and also kick the Totemic Smash up to a kill on this huge toad. So I think I'm going to be on board with this. It's definitely a strong way to come in and take these angles. Take you off the board. Now we'll Totemic Smash. Don't want to get the Divine Shield popped on our Horserider. Now that feels good, right? Feels like we've really turned a corner in this one. We've got a board and he doesn't. It's always a sweet place to be. Might have messed up the ordering of our units here. Probably should have put the Horserider in the middle. I wasn't paying enough attention in terms of where our Flametongue Totem was going to go. But the Horserider did turn up to help clean things up a little bit. Yeah, this really sucks. I don't want to be losing our Zapper in combat. We can at least get full usage of our charges this way. But yeah, the Zapper in the wrong spot. I kind of would have liked to have traded away the Searing Totem, but I didn't want to be in a spot to where we just didn't have any units to the right of this guy. That was kind of bummer central, but We're fighting through. Opponent says you fought hard, Bust. You did good. You messed that game up, but it wasn't too bad. Woo. All right. But man, I got a real bone to pick with the world today. I grew up watching wrestling. I used to watch a lot of it, like in the early '90s when I was a kid. That was kind of maximum time for Hulk Hogan and the WWF and the Ultimate Warrior type folks running around. We absolutely loved all that shit. And so it's, of course, that gets you familiar with Ric Flair, the old nature boy. And he has a pretty decent documentary on Netflix. I think it was a 30 for 30 on ESPN, and then they just show it on Netflix now. But I thought it was fairly interesting. They didn't get into too much of his debauchery in the 80s and stuff like I expected. But the little history on Ric Flair, as you can gather from the documentary, is he got his first world title in Kansas City. And so you're like, oh, cool, man, good for you. You're making your mark in the world in the greatest city on the planet. And then it goes on and on and on about how Ric Flair just gets drunk and fucks every night after every single wrestling event. And then they start to be like, Rick, why did you do that? Like, why did you drink so much? Why did you party so hard? And he's like, well, you're out in the Midwest. He's like, you go and play a 200-seat venue, and then you don't have anything to do after that. And so, you just start partying and start getting at it. And then he's like, you got those just, those shitty cities out there, like places in Kansas. And he's like, in Kansas City was the worst of them. And it's like, fuck you, buddy. You hyped us up so big. You got your big title out there, and now you're talking trash about it because there's not enough ladies for Ric Flair to stick his dick in. And it was like, come on, bro. Come on. You brought us down so hard. So, what a dick. That was, I don't know, it was interesting, but in large part it was just depressing. His story is of many, many highs and many, many super deep lows, and he was super shitty to his family along the whole way. It was interesting to see and hear, but I don't know. I wasn't expecting it to be like super uplifting. I didn't know a lot of his history or anything, but it seems like a kind of a piece of work. All right, back into the action here, though. Do we want to drop a coin? I'm kind of tempted to just go ahead and coin out a Tunnel Trogg, because we're going to start popping with some of these spells, and so I think it's probably okay to just get on board. What's this thing? You played an Elemental last turn, copy it. We can try to build to this Avalanche Elemental. I would say against Priest, we're going to have to do a little bit more grinding than we want to do. But we'll see if we can make it that far without the Sandstorm Elemental. Now that was kind of a bummer. I mean, I guess trading out for the Curator isn't terrible. I'm going to be real, I don't really like it. And I don't want to just give up on the Totemic Smash when we already have the Trickster in hand. Let's see what we roll. Healing Totem, alright, we'll go face. It blew my mind. I don't know how many times I had to sit around and roll on these totems before I realized that the spell damage totem just wasn't in the game anymore. That was one of the premier ways to take advantage of your your Spirit Claws, was to just come out and roll on turn 2. They appear to have taken that out of the game, and so it's been quite a learning moment for me in that space. But here, we'll see how this goes. Up against Priest, it's not super exciting to give up on the 1 damage burn spells, but I think it's going to be quite a few turns before we're even able to try and shoot a 15 to the face or something, and so I think it was okay to send that 1 unit down. Now, where do we land? Are we going to have to play another one? I don't want to play the Sandstorm Elemental. We're 100% going to play it next turn. We're definitely going to Flametongue Totem this turn. So are we willing to just give up another Totemic Smash? Or we could throw away both of our heals, but I kind of want to heal onto the Trickster. I'm not certain how safe it is in this format, but it should be kind of safe, I think. We'll see. He's already played the one AoE, and so we might be able to get out of this turn without worrying about more Holy Novas. Well, not a bad turn for the Sandstorm Elemental being able to clear out these Murlocs. How does that go? Well, we're gonna have to just keep spending burn. Like, I'm really not excited about this. Alright. I guess that's okay. We could have played that a little cleaner to get the Spirit Claws on board, but seems like we're in an okay spot. We can still come in and trade back and forth a little bit. Oh no, we're overloaded? Oh shit. Shit. I just started snapping through that because I thought we were going to... I thought that we were going to get this avalanche thing on board. I completely messed that up with getting overloaded. I think we're still in pretty okay shape, but a little bit of a whoopsies. Just a little bit. See if that Twin Terror comes down to try and spike two totems. Taunt, okay. And our Trickster. A bit of a bummer for the Trickster, but I think it probably got its work in this game. And we're pretty close to the lethal. I mean, we could have tried to high roll for it, but I think we'll get in a couple of points of damage next turn without completely advertising that we drew like literally all of our burn this game. Alright, we should be good. We got 5 to the face on board and then a minimum of 6 in hand. Burn it. That feels good. Feels good to just cast a bunch of burn spells on the opposing nugget. you know, haven't got to do that. It's not something you get to do a lot of in Legends of Runeterra. With the nerfs to decimate. Right. Oof. Gotta get some 4-mana 7/7s in here. I miss it. I miss it so much. I miss it so much. One thing to call out with this, one of the cards I would realistically like to get in here is Acolyte of Pain. As we get to pull up this double Primal Fusion hand with Totemic Smash, it does give you a bit of a highlight as to what you can do in terms of popping off with an Acolyte of Pain and just giving it like +6/+6. But you know, as these games have been going on, I don't feel like we've really run out of stuff to do. Like, we've been real close, right? Like in that last game against Priest, we did play the last 2 cards in our hand to finish off the game. But we are playing the Ancestral Knowledges. I'm not certain if the Ancestral Knowledge is actually better than Acolyte of Pain or not, but we're also not playing any of the AoE stuff, right? One of the things that really makes the Acolyte good is if you're playing Warpath or doing, you know, some global board AoE, and we're not playing any of that stuff here. We would just be counting on getting a good combat, which doesn't really strike me as awesome. But here, I'm going to go face. I don't think there's a ton of reason to take down the dragon. I mean, I guess there is a chance, like playing against Paladin, they do have the kind of combat trick type units so that they could get a value trade onto our 2/3, but it didn't seem too risky. Now we'll just continue to build board. Doing okay with these Tuskar Totemics. I worry a little bit about completely setting up a board to where everything just dies to a Consecrate. So I think this is probably time to start trying to play around that. Let's get this Tempest bro on board. We'll get another totem on. Then I'm just going to coin the Primal Fusion. This is going to give +3/+3. Just put it on the big one. Let's actually do this. I think I do like this a little bit more. I was like, let's just, you know, keep the stats high. The Totem Golem will keep 4 health that way, but let's just go for the damage at this point. Like, we do have to worry about him playing that dragon that heals like 8 health, but with the way this hand is together, we're probably just going to have to burn him out, right? We don't have anything else to do in terms of putting units on the board, and so probably just need to shoot for that damage, and then if we pick up a Street Trickster, or even if we pick up the Novice Zapper in this space, we've got 7 damage in hand. With the Zapper, it would be 10. With the Street Trickster, it would be 13. So we're pretty close to getting to that 13 mark if the opponent doesn't have any heal. Seems a little bamboozled by that big old totem bro rolling through. That doesn't kill it. I did those mathematics. I checked, it doesn't. What we got here? A Tar Creeper? I'm in. I mean, if he doesn't have the answer to the Totem Golem, what's he going to do this turn? He could play the Divine Shield Rush Dragon, which would be a bit of a pain, but it still leaves us in a pretty reasonable space. We've almost got him down to that lethal. We just need to pick up a Street Trickster or a different burn spell. This one should be done. But it seems like his interactivity is pretty low at this point, right? Oh, that's not how you clear our board. Send those into the face place. Double smash. GG. Sometimes you don't even need to spell damage, huh? Sometimes you just send it right at the nugget. Had that Argent Horserider in hand for the charge as well. I wonder how different the game would have panned out over the course of time if if Blizzard didn't figure out how busted charge was and like develop rush instead. You know, if everything just had rush from the get-go, so you couldn't just send your charge units straight to the dome. It took them a while to figure out. So Ben broed at home getting mad about the charge units, you know. I'm sure that's what happened. Sure, it's what happened. Saw a question in the comments on the last video. Are we going to play in the Runeterra Open that's coming up? I am not. I'm not going to do that. I've already uninstalled Runeterra everywhere. I still have Teamfight Tactics around, but I've also just kind of started playing Battlegrounds. Like this is what happens when you get kind of ingrained in a franchise. It's very tough to like spend part of the time playing on a Riot game and part of the time on a Blizzard game. And while I do like Teamfight Tactics more than Battlegrounds, I'm just kind of like, getting knocked out of Runeterra just didn't knock me out of the card gaming space. It kind of knocked me out of the entirety of the franchise, which sucks. I think I do enjoy the Runeterra franchise and the Runeterra lore more than the Warcraft elements, but just kind of is what it is. But yeah, like I had considered going and playing in the Open. It's fairly, free to do, but like I don't want to just like show up and start playing. I would have to like prepare for it at least a little bit, like at least spend 3 days just being like, okay, well, I picked the 3 decks I'm gonna play. I have to play, you know, deck 1 for a day, deck 2 for a day, deck 3 for a day, and then we can go. But I'm not willing to devote all that to it. And so my kind of history with what happened with LOR and kind of my thought process on a lot of it was I was like kind of close to pulling the ripcord. Like you know, if I'm gonna give you like 3 strikes within your game, like, you know, the major strike 1 was just kind of taking expeditions out, and then strike 2 was the initial Path of Champions released, where they said they weren't going to focus on anything but Path. Like, that was kind of strike 2, but I was still sticking with it. And then I had such a good time with actually playing Constructed and getting within the Constructed world that, you know, I felt like I kind of rolled back to strike 1.5. You know, you give them a little bit of freedom in there. And then with the layoffs, that kind of got me up to 2.5. And then, you know, when they when they said competitive is gone, then I was really just done with it. And so I really I'm not opposed to going back. Like, the game is just that good. It is hands down far and away the absolute best card gaming system that's out there. But they've just mismanaged it to the point to where they're going to have to show a serious devotion to the competitive elements, and I just think that there's a 0% chance that's going to happen. All right, though, let's get on board. We'll go for the big damage since we hit on the Stone Claw. If we hit the Stone Claw or if we hit the heal, I would have been fine dealing little damage with the Tunnel Trogg. But here, it doesn't seem necessary. Now, you start to pop, right? There's no AoEs in Druid. Send all that juicy damage right to the face place. This game should be done. I don't think Druid has a great way to recover out of this. Jade Behemoth. Okay. I don't think that's it, my dude. Get more of these spell damages on board, just so we can show it off. Just so we can show it off. That 5 damage nug. GG, my dude. Oh, I didn't realize you could overkill onto the face. We overkilled the guy's face for the free totem. Nice. All right, yeah, let's get our one more battle in, our final battle. We'll call it a day. But yeah, it's a big disappointment as far as that. Like, I just can't go back to Runeterra. I can't. It doesn't, like, without actually having like the competitive flair for it. Like, I've throughout my life really struggled with this, as to where I have a game that I play competitively, and then trying to play it casually. It's just something to where I can't flip the switch to where, you know, I'm out here, you know, giving it a good go to climb the ranks as hard as we can and be in the competitive scene. And then to go off to the side and just play a casual game of Commander against people that don't have real decks and stuff. Like, I have a very, very challenging time doing that. It's just no fun to me. And what I've done as an adult and later on in life here is, like, I know how I am. And so when I wanted to come out here and make friends in Kansas City, I started looking towards board game groups, because I knew I didn't want to just get back into the Magic scene. Like, I can't just show up at Friday Night Magic and be like, all right, well, we're gonna dick around with some funsies decks and just like have a casual time. Like, I can't do that. And so, like, I specifically went like looking for board game groups, and like with the mindset that I'm not going to be a fucking tryhard at these things, and we're just going to come out here and have a good time and make some friends and stuff. And that's my problem with like coming back to the open, is I'm kind of done with Riot as it is, but I can't just be like, well, give me 3 decks, I'm going to show up and play. That's just not the way that not the way that I operate. It feels like a waste of my time, and feels like a waste of your time to give it such a low effort go. Alright though, final battle up against what I assume is Dragon Warrior. Let's see what turns up. Not a bad curve. Not a bad curve. I'll be pretty okay with being somewhat aggressive with things like Sandstorm Elemental in this game. If he is playing dragons, there's not a ton of units to worry about, right? It's not like we're playing against Paladin and he accidentally hero powers 2 or 3 times and we get to kill a real unit and kill off some silver hand recruits. I just feel like there's a very low opportunity to actually kill any of his stuff. But very interesting hit with our elemental hitting the Cosmic Anomaly, giving us access to a spell damage unit if we want to do spell damage things, which, you know, I'd say is certainly on the table given the makeup of our deck here. And so if we need to surprise load up the Spirit Claws or go for the big burn plan, we do have this anomaly hanging out. Rip Flametongue Totem. Sad day for that. Street Trickster turns up as well. Pretty interested in just getting him on board. It is tough for the warrior deck to take it off unless they actually have an execute. So I mean that's gonna kick up our claws. Clear through a little bit. I mean, there's a very real chance he just doesn't have the answer for Trickster, and we get +4 spell damage on board. So we'll have to see if that's something that presents itself as well.
Let the pain speak to me.
Alright, Acolyte of Pain turns up in the no attacks. Like, how big are we willing to go here, right? So, I mean, we can play the Cosmic Anomaly and just start sending lightning bolts to face for 7. I'm not opposed to it. So where does that get us? That's going to be 7, 8, 9, 12 off of the Tempest, 15 out of the Spirit Claws. I mean, that gets us so close. But we want a Lightning Bolt first to get the extra damage out of the Tempest. Drops him to 10. Does a pretty good job of KOing the usefulness of his weapon as well. Okay. GG. Ripped him and rolled him, my dudes. Lightning Bolt. Spirit Claws. GG. Not bad, not bad. Not a bad little 5-0 run on the day. We can pull this up, talk about it a little bit more. Pause. Pause. Can't pull up runeterra.ar. Here we go. All right, and so yeah, not bad, not bad. I was pretty happy with that. Again, as we talked about Acolyte of Pain, that's where I feel like the deck is potentially lacking just a little bit. You know, that was another game to where the Lightning Bolt was the last card in our hand. We did, you know, pick up a good draw right at the end to where we hit Flametongue Totem, which is a surprise 4 damage to tag along with our burn spell, but that's where it feels like this is hurting, and I'm not quite certain what the cut looks like. You know, if we really want to cut out something like Argent Horserider to get in that additional card draw, I'm not entirely certain what the answer is there. But this feels like it's a pretty solid like 26 cards in terms of, you know, getting a real deck together and being in that aggro end of the spectrum, tying in nicely with the spell damage burn, but not being super all in. Like the Witch Doctor deck is, that looks to use the Totemic Surges and stuff and then just completely loses to AoEs. But, you know, a good set otherwise. I think that, yeah, that's the question. It's just as you look at something like Acolyte of Pain, like I was saying that the big thing that you can do with Acolyte of Pain is going to, of course, be Primal Fusion, to where we make the Acolyte get like +3 or +3 or something, and it's just a big attacker on board. But those kind of boards didn't really come together that often, and we didn't get a ton of usage out of Primal Fusion. Now, granted, we only drew it once over the course of those 5 games, so we didn't get to play it a ton. But those are the kind of spaces to where I feel like there's probably a bit of opportunity for innovation and card swaps, if you will. It's like maybe we only play one Primal Fusion and play one Argent Horserider and add in the 2 Acolyte Pains. But then, again, like if we're not playing Beakered Lightning to do these AoEs to damage our own Acolyte Pain, it's not really functioning at maximum capacity. And there's just not a ton of stuff in here that actually draws cards, right? Elementary Reaction doesn't really do it, and then we're just kind of looking at shitty units otherwise. And so that I'm not entirely certain what the answer is there. Maybe it just doesn't exist in Twist, and you just have to kind of accept your deck isn't 100% optimal. But I think there's no denying that there's most certainly some real power here, and a lot of these combos are exceptionally good. And if Twist Commons changes just a little bit and adds in more sets, like one more set or something, maybe this deck picks up that one card it needs to feel like really tier 1. But nonetheless, we had a pretty good set of games today. It actually performed much better than I was having happen in my practice games, and so maybe I was just getting a little bit better as time went on and figuring things out a little bit more, and that helped as well. But nonetheless, good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Had a good time watching. This is Bustin'. We thank you for being here.